Welcome back, Keepers of the Flame. Okay, so today, being called to talk about justice a little bit. So the reason why we are not seeing it on the planet is because it's being kind of It's not subverted. It's just that um, we give the permission for the bad things to happen through various modalities of religious indoctrination, political indoctrination, and then movies, film, art, all that good gravy, right? That's what we give our time, attention, and energy to. So by creating those narratives for us that like so many things are not receiving justice, and the Justice League causes so much destruction that we don't. And then the religious indoctrination, which is, um, yeah, these God decided to do these horrible, horrible things, and now you can do them because God said. And so we are by default giving our permission for these bad things to happen, and therefore justice doesn't need to be part of the equation any longer. So if we can start to kind of get away from those narratives as much as possible and start drawing our attention back to other things, that's going to be key. How does that look? When you're watching a movie, you're listening to a story, and if that story has an injustice in it, and you are laughing at it or dismissing it or being apathetic about it, whatever it is, right? That your body begins to accept those things as normal. That's a baseline, okay? And so when we don't have, people that are doing horrible, horrible things being held accountable, that creates more trauma in our system. The whole point of all the things is to cause as much trauma as possible with no healing. And there's no healing without justice. And that's why it's subverted in that manner, is because we have from day one been indoctrinated into all these traumatic systems. So our body is trained to have that as our baseline. So anytime it gets violated with a new program or upgrade, we can sign, because, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And because we're so desensitized to any sort of violence happening, we just let it go. We don't do anything about it. We just give our consent over. Apathy is consent. Not doing anything is consent. And so when we choose to not do anything, it's consenting. It's pretty. So, when you go to work for a crap corporation, you are consenting for that corporation to do exactly what they're doing without being held accountable. This is why Bezos is out walking while his employees are slaving away in diapers and dropping in the aisle. Okay, this is this is why Elon gets to build his compounds of like girls that are having his offsprings. That's why these things get to occur. My dog just decided it's Vino Moose. He's got a little moose stuffy that he is now making sure is good and dead before he brings it to me to throw. Those are the rules. So when we have a script that needs to let the excruciatingly dysfunctional system as work, we have to be in complete compliance, and that means subdued. So that's why they start us so young with like religious indoctrination. Like you learn at like 3, 4, 5 years old that the bestest supposedly human that ever existed, at least for Christians, was brutally tortured and mutilated before whatever. The whole thing is based on trauma. If you are encountering trauma anywhere in your life, you are part of a system that is programming you. So this is why they are really upset with the trauma detoxes and the somatic therapy. This is why there's a huge attack on women right now. Huge. I cannot stress this enough, you guys. Like, the war on women is real. Femicide is a thing. And if you want to stay in the diluted thing, I mean, you can witness extinction. That's your business. But this is how they gain the consent, is they show it to us repeatedly. This is what we do. This is what we consent to. Go watch Autopsy of Jane Doe. Consented. Doesn't look like that way on the outside. No, it looks peachy motherfucking keen on the outside. Inside, oof. So again, the consent constantly is given. And that's why there's no justice, is because we consent to it with our energy. Base. So when we have a baseline of trauma, and getting yourself off that trauma is your main goal. So that way, when things do come through that are should, or I don't like using that word, when things come through that would naturally, instinctively jar the human system and say, oh my God, that's so incredibly effed up. When we're no longer feeling or thinking that way about trauma in our lives or anyone else's, and we're just playing it off, we're in a lot of trouble. And we've been in a lot of that bucket for a while. And so women especially are starting to wake up to this, not so much in being ultra uber feminist, but in a very intuitive manner. We are feeling these things come online. So, and there's a lot of people do not appreciate the high vibe community, because it's just recycling the two clans that are currently in the meat grinder, the two Baconator clans. Francis Bacon, religion and science, are in the meat grinder right now. They just cut a huge bunch of medical stuff. If you are in any way, shape, or form a natural healer, now is the time to get on the grinding stones. So this is not fun to say. So the end result, the ultimate result, is not just a slave master narrative. There is an eventual extinction plan. That's what they're aiming at right now, is to make things so horrible that this supposed whatchamacallit thing comes back. This is why they keep making it bad, because they think that there's something coming. So they're intentionally doing horrible, horrible things, purposefully, thinking that this is going to spark some sort of entity to come and punish all of us who refuse to do the horrible, horrible things to get that entity to come. Okay. You too can be saved through a shit ton of human sacrifice. You too can be saved for a shit ton of human sacrifice. When you worship something, you are manifesting it. You are perpetuating it out into the world. So how you think that getting on your knees for some dude who has been offed in the most brutal way possible is going to bring about any sort of good on the planet, you have been sorely mistaken, conned, manipulated. Oof. Okay. So again, back to the energetic patterns that are leading us to this, and what they result in. It is a mass extinction, and the ones that are left over are supposed to boom the planet into oblivion. Like, I think they did to at least one other in the asteroid belt. I think that's what it is. So these, I mean, we've let annihilators be our leaders. Annihilators of everything. Everything. We've allowed it. We voted for it. We worship it. We think it's a good thing when they are continuously showing us and proving to us that they're hurting so many more things than they're helping. It's ridiculous. So, and now we're about to, unfortunately, have to witness that again, and the repercussions will not be so good. So if we kind of want to put a dent in that, we need to start supporting local communities, making sure that local families have enough food, enough money for shelter, whatever it is. Somehow we have to get communities together to start doing those things, because the government will not do that for us. Even in the liberal states, it will not do that for us. We cannot rely on any politician to do anything for us. And that's what's so fucked up and sick about this. The politicians are the ones that are like offing people in record numbers while pretending to yell back and forth over the aisle at each other, when in actuality, if the other person gets in charge, they'll look good, and then they'll pass really disgusting, wretched laws under the table. That's what happened with Biden. He looked good, but he was in there passing law after 3,000 laws. 3,000 laws against LGBTQ. And we had him screaming at that Potter author person. Okay? Yeah. 3,000 laws against LGBTQ community while he was in office. 3,000. And we were directed towards yelling at an author of kids' book. Oops. So that I was like, hey kids, did you want to check your own fucking temperature before you start yelling at this random woman who you're never gonna convince to give a fuck about you? No? Okay. Well, there goes your community. And again, they have to tell you what they're doing. They have to tell you. So that's why they were taking temperature checks with like that whole Target thing too. Temperature checks. So you can check the temperature by inserting issue and seeing what the outrage is, how high that thermometer blows. If it doesn't blow very high, nothing's going to be done about it. So if they can redirect the energy at a child author who's not going to do anything to you one way or the fucking other, without drawing attention to all the laws that were just passed, making your existence nearly impossible, mission accomplished. Okay? So the outrage was directed in the wrong direction, and we're constantly seeing this all over the place. This is how justice prevails. Oh, we did show the outrage. We just aimed it in the wrong effing direction. We need to be aiming it at the people making laws and passing them. But instead, we get pissed off at celebrities who have no pull, other than maybe the public opinion. But at the end of the day, the public opinion does not make the laws. It's just public opinion, and that's why they use it so much. Okay, so justice is it circumvented? It feels like it's the right word. So that's why it needs to stop. So if we stop paying attention to the stuff going on here, if we take more of our attention away from it, so we are not being told the narrative, and we're not honing into the narrative, and the more of us that do that are able to kind of swipe that off of our reality, out of our narrative. And if we can get enough people to just stop paying attention, stop giving those people their time, attention, resources, blah, 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 this will fall much faster than it would if we were continuously paying attention to fucking movie stars and music people and YouTubers. Yes, that community is also corrupt. Just taking it away. So it's okay to observe, to get a temperature check, but do not engage in the uplifting, praising, or anything else. Like, don't buy the movie tickets, cancel your Spotify, your whatever the fuck it is, all that stuff. Spotify is supporting ICE right now. If you still have an Amazon and Prime account, what the hell are you doing? I'd go the same with Netflix. I know, did he do it? But you can get that from a small YouTube channel. You can get that from a small YouTube channel and support local, smaller-ish human beings to make sure that they eat and have a roof over their head. So that's kind of the job of humanity right now. And that's the other thing you can do too, is support through giving the time and attention to the people that are not so huge. What else? Support your local food shelf. Support, and that's the thing, is we don't have a lot of structures. We need to maybe pass some laws, more laws that say, like, you know, there's something to prevent homelessness or assist families to get back on their feet, something like that. And we like to think all that stuff is in place, and it's not. It's not. It might have been at one point, but it's not any longer, not in this administration. So remembering that there is a very real femicide happening right now. It's so real, I can't even begin to describe. There's so many women right now that are just being displaced because they've lost their jobs, been fired, removed, whatever it is. The amount of people that are struggling because of that right now are alarming. It's alarming. So if you have the means and you have the ability and you feel safe and comfortable doing so, you know, find some communities that can work that out, because that's what this is going to be. Age of Aquarius is community, rebellion, and community and rebellion. So getting that narrative of, if we want justice, we have to stop circumventing it with our thoughts, actions, belief structures, and behaviors, and get into the inner knowing rather than I believe this, I believe that. If you can't know it internally, put it aside for a little while, at least. Put it aside for a little while. And get into, I know this to be true within my own system. And again, I'm not asking you to switch over your belief structures. I'm not asking you to surpass your belief structures. I'm asking you to say, okay, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to take a moment. What's really resonating with my system right now? What feels good and safe in my heart when it comes to these sorts of narratives? When it comes to this sort of, like, state the whatever it is out to yourself. I believe blah, 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 blah. How does it feel in the body? How does it feel? Is it reverberating peace, calm? Or is it like making you tense and anxious? Because if it's making you tense and anxious, guess what? It ain't good. So, constantly, we're in reflection season. So it's a continuous pattern recognition, a continuous comprehension that, like, we have the power to shift this. We have the power to change our own lives for the better. We have the power to make this timeline something far better than what they want it to be. The trick is to remember that we co-create. We co-create. So here's me taking down my own community. If you are in high vibe, you are in a lot of trouble, because what goes up must come down. Okay. So you need to stay on the whole vibe level. You need to stay on the whole vibe. High vibe is fine if you're trying to manifest, but trying to stay there every day for a long period of time is going to have you crashing out. I cannot stress this enough. So when there's prey, there's predator. When there's high, there's low. So when you're high vibing all day, every day, cannot stress this enough. When you're high vibing all day, every day, that discrepancy is going to be pretty severe. Pretty severe. And so even if you're not creating that for yourself, you are creating that out in the world, because we are co-creators. So whatever we're creating is also being created in the environment. So what's the opposite of high vibe? Low vibe. Okay. And then we have a whole slew of like spiritual card readers. Oh my God. Are like, well, they're going through it right now. They're not, right, Lily? She's upset too. Where they're like, oh, they're going through this kind of difficulty. Oh, they've lost everybody in their life. Oh, they've done this. Oh, they've done that. And it's like, okay, but like, I don't think that's a great way to see the world in terms of monetary value. Making a person's worth. Because there's a lot of good jobs out there that just got fucking knocked. Nurses. Nurses got docked. Any mandatory reporting job got docked from professionalism, which means their pay grade is going to go down if they were kept. If they were even kept. Teachers. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Massive, massive layoffs. Not just in the governmental realm, but any DEI, whatever the hell it is. Right? So... and those, again, are women-orientated jobs. And we have a whole slew of people out there going, yep, they're evil people, so they deserve to be whatever. So we got to be careful about that. You're giving permission for people to be vetted off the planet in very cruel and horrible ways because of their bank account balance, or their job status, or their whatever. Again, co-creating. We have to be really diligent that, like, when we're speaking on reading energy, that we're not creating narratives that are going to make it, because that's just the thing, is like, when you have a narrative that you've created for yourself and you keep repeating that through whatever you're doing, especially energy work, especially when it comes to card reading, if you're repeating that narrative, that a narrative is eventually going to be your narrative. So you have to be really diligent about when you're reading the cards, that it's not like a what's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of vengeful revenge, suffer narrative, I want to say. You just got to be careful with that, because like, you're just going to have to come to the conclusion that these things are very, very powerful. So when you're manifesting those and co-creating with those, that you be very diligent about what you're doing with that. And then come to the conclusion that rather than seeing it as some sort of weird popular movement, I feel like that's such the wrong word, but right now it's a huge movement that's happening, especially for women. When we support that narrative with our energetic patterns and our energetic readings and shame and guilt and blame and whatever else, we are creating some sort of weird paradigm that the majority of the planet is not going to appreciate, because you're not allowing people. So when we take a whole slew of people and put them into the Ook clan, we automatically give everybody energetic consent to just let them all the way off the planet. Okay, so we, again, like I said, it's an extinction game. That's the long game for the systems on the planet. It's an energetic long game. If you are not going to be a total and complete slave to billionaires, we're finished with you. And the other flip side of that is, even then, even after that, it's gonna continue to get worse, because the people who have been put in charge or are in charge can't even hold their own best interest at heart. So they will, it's just like a cluster blee implosion, I want to call it, where they can't sustain anything for very long. And granted, we've done it for 2,000 years, but you have to remember the cycles of politics and religion are intentionally prolonged, and they've been spread out so thin that, like, okay, so with this particular time period, we're going to focus on getting that narrative out, and for this particular time period, we're going to focus on getting that narrative out. So it's introducing us to different levels and layers of traumas and whatever else, and making us okay with them. Okay, so they've had to accomplish this over thousands of years. This didn't start yesterday. This didn't pop up because religious extremism. This popped up because we were sitting in the water for thousands of years, not paying attention to the temperature. Okay? That's just how it works. Okay? I didn't make the rules. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. However, that doesn't negate how things are playing out right now. It just doesn't. So you either look at the truth, the evidence is what we're waiting around in right now, or you just say, well, blah 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 blah. No, we are all co-creators. We all did this together, and we need to either undo it or just accept the fact that, like, this is no longer going to be a human planet at some point very near in the future. And looking at the violence committed towards especially females right now, might come sooner than later. So you either get on the train to save humanity. We all think it's aliens. It's like, no, it's the Y chromosomes going extinct, and they're becoming outraged because women are starting to come into genuine feminine, and because masculine has never been allowed to exist for thousands of years either. We don't know how to teach that. We don't know how to train that. We don't know how to allow that to exist, because we don't even know what it looks like. We don't know what it tastes like. We don't know what it feels like. We have no concept of real, genuine masculine. Everybody's putting labels on it like they know what the fuck they're talking about. I am here telling you fucking right now, we have no clue. We have no clue. No clue. The MGTOW movement was so that they could go off and figure that out for themselves. And instead, it got hijacked by fucking incels. Then we have the feminine movement over here, which is making pretty decent progress, minus the feminazis who, for whatever reason, are married and then scream horrible things about all males into a freaking... Oh, I'm so confused. Like, if you're married to a man and you are telling everyone on the internet how horrible and wretched men are, and you know what's funny though is, like, the married ones tend to bash on married men more, and it's like they're taking their fucking aggression out on their own spouses via the internet. I mean, it's like starting to feel like crap, there's a word for it. There's a freaking word for not abuse by proxy. Passive isn't the right word either. Public humiliation abuse? I don't freaking know. There's some sort of technical term for it, but it's public humiliation on a very abusive scale. Like if I were their significant other, I'd be like, we're getting a divorce now. Clearly you hate me. So we have to be careful. Yes, we do need to hold men accountable because, oh my good Lord, are they out of control right now? Abso-fucking-lutely. And they're dialing it back. We just need to pay witness. And again, let them have their space while we take our space to discover ourselves. The issue that's going to arise is that masculine doesn't know how to see feminine because it's never seen feminine in this day and age. Feminine is not going to know how to see masculine because masculine doesn't exist right now. We have fuckery and sheer fuckery. That's what we have. And it's like, okay, so the sheer fuckery is obviously men right now. And then we have fuckery. Okay, so feminine's a little bit difficult to see right now because there's so much narratives around it. So we have to give each other the time and space and energy to figure these things out, because if we don't do that, we're not helping the bailing off the extinction train movement. Not that there's a bailing off the extinction train movement, but you know what? I'll sleep tonight knowing I did what I could, I guess. So, just energetic justice patterns for the day to kind of, what do you call it? Marinate with, sit in, meditate on. I feel like we really need to marinate. I feel like we need to sit in the energies of the masculine and feminine, and we have both within us, so we can tap into, women can tap into your natural masculine and men can tap into your natural feminine, and really feel that out. Don't listen to some jerk face like me or any other dude that's on the fucking internet trying to tell you how to feel about stuff that we have no clue about. Excuse me, because that's an internal thing. If you have to put something in this in order to make this work, you are in deep trouble, my friends. Deep, deep trouble. Okay. If you have to put something into this in order for this to work, you're in a lot of trouble. So clear that out of your system first before you start doing anything else. Get the stuff out of your ear, or just learn how to sift through it efficiently. So that way, when you do come to conclusions about how you want to behave, belief structures, narratives you're running in your head, and blah, 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 you are aligned with yourself enough to drive something forward